Okay. Yes, so today we will talk about WeChat account, how to do successful registration. So we will start with different account types. What are the differences? Then the account registration process. We will then follow to account verification. What is that? When is it needed? Necessary, not necessary? Then in the second part of our session today, we will talk about service accounts for individuals, which I think will be very interesting. And then we will also talk about the connection between official accounts and WeChat channels. And once we complete all of these steps, what will be the next things to do on our official account, things to know. And then we will close with the Q&A session. So starting with the account typology. So I think if you open your WeChat, the app, you will see different types of accounts. Some of them will be directly in your main feed, and some of them will be in a small folder, right? So I would say this is the biggest difference between the accounts. So these are subscription and service accounts. So I would say that recently I spotted that WeChat rename subscription accounts to official accounts, which I think is really confusing. So today we will just refer to official accounts as all of the accounts. I mean, there's two types. So subscription accounts and service accounts. So the main difference, I would say, is that the official accounts are all together in a small folder, but they can also post on a daily basis. So they have lower visibility compared to service accounts, which are directly in your main feed, but they are also, because of the fact that they are in a folder, they have lower visibility. So service accounts, they can post 4 times per month, and they are on the main screen. So they, because of that, they are more visible, and they also offer more additional integrations. So showing the more differences more clearly, we can see that the ones called subscription accounts, now official accounts, they can publish once per day. And they are visible, but in the small folder. So you will not see them directly among messages from your friends. And when you open the small folder, the articles from these accounts, they will be there in they will be, before it was in chronological order. Now it's they are based on the algorithm. So if some articles are read more often than others, the algorithm will push this content, their new articles, to the top of your feed. But these accounts are quite, I would say, basic in terms of functionality. So you cannot accept direct payments to these accounts, or you cannot also have launch your own mini programs or some extra coding. And contrary to that, we have service accounts, which are visible directly on among messages from your friends. So we can say they are very visible, right? So because of that, WeChat also doesn't want these accounts to flood our feed too much. So they have this limitation to post 4 times per calendar month, but we can have up to 8 articles. But normally brands will have 1, maximum 2 articles, because otherwise it's a little bit too much content for the users to interact with. And the visibility, as I mentioned, yes, it's very eye-catching, visible. So that's why also this limitations to post. And appearance, they appear in chronological order, real time. So just like messages from our friends. And these kind of accounts, they can have they can launch their own mini programs, and they can have official direct payments. So I will explain more about this thing with payments and mini program in a moment. So for the subscription accounts, they have some pros and cons, right? So first of all, the pro is you can post as much as you need. And if your readers interact with the content, algorithm will also push this content in this folder to the top. So also they are less disturbing to the users. So normally users will not tend to unfollow this account that much because the news are not so obtrusive to them. But the cons is that they have much lower exposure because it's inside the folder. So when a user wants, in order to read an article from one of the subscription accounts, they would need to open the folder, then check they will see also articles from other brands, and then only if it catch their attention, they will open the article. So also if you need some advanced coding, programming support, it will not be possible with subscription account. So so normally this kind of accounts are recommended for news and daily updates, like for example, newspaper like China Daily in Shanghai, that would be Shine. Also for bloggers, because you can open this with a Chinese ID directly. And fast mover consuming goods when there are some shorter promotions, and basically brands that cannot have this limitation on posting. And for the service accounts, the advantages are that they are visible directly in the main feed. So it really gives them a big exposure, and they can also implement some customized solution like customer relationship management, WeChat Pay integrations. But on the other side, because they are very visible, sometimes when a user who no longer doesn't want to receive information from this account, maybe it will remind them to unfollow. So these accounts, normally it happens that when brands publish, sometimes it also cause some unfollowing to happen. And also there was some changes in this visibility. So last year, WeChat was experimenting with also putting this service accounts into another dedicated small folder. Some of the users have this version. For me and a lot of my friends and colleagues, it's still normal, but it's something to take into consideration that WeChat is a little bit playing with that visibility as well. So for this one, we don't really have the control about this, but WeChat is like testing different kind of user experience for their app. So these kind of accounts are usually used by B2B companies, luxury brands, also with corporation for corporate news, and also for accounts that need their own e-commerce, mini programs, or other options. If they want to implement their own, like implement and attach their own kind of like a coding. So for example, if you want to do some more advanced tracking, this will be kind of account that will allow you to do this. So now there is a small recap. So messaging frequency, visibility, menu segmentation. So this kind, like if you want to do any segmentation, this is something that we will not talk about today, but just wanted to let you know about what are the key differences. So for WeChat Pay and your own mini programs, it can sound a little bit scary that you cannot do that with some of the accounts, but actually I owe you an explanation for this. So what does it exactly mean for these accounts that they cannot have payments or mini programs? So for the subscription accounts or non-verified service accounts, but also for foreign accounts, it's more complicated. So technically, in this scenario, they cannot launch their own mini programs, right? But in reality, you can still add QR codes or links to existing mini programs. It just means you cannot build and launch your own. So actually, if you are using like any third-party providers, for example, if you have events and you use UPay, like the one I was hosting my registration process for this webinar, you can still use it. It's not a problem. So it's just an issue if you want in the future have your own bespoke customized mini program or direct payments. But other than this, if you just want users to sign up for your event, you can still add QR code to external page or mini program to accept these registrations. For the e-commerce as well, you can use some third-party providers, marketplaces as well. It just means you cannot build your own mini program and launch directly under this account, but you can still link. So the same applies to WeChat Pay. So I'm not sure if you have any questions about this part, the differences between these two types of accounts. Okay, if you have any questions later during the Q&A, we can go back to that. So, okay, I can see something in the chat. Okay, cool. So now moving to the registration part, which I think will be very interesting. So first we will check who can register what and what are the processes for each scenario. We will also see what is verification and a quick checklist as well. So for the registration, it's a two-step process consisting on registration and verification, which is not always required. Some type of accounts don't require verification. So now, yeah, let me show you what exactly you can register with which type of, depending on the paperwork that you have. So if you have a Chinese ID, you can, if you have a Chinese ID or if you have a Chinese business license, including the wholly foreign-owned enterprise, like some of us have, and then if you have an overseas business license. So these are the main scenarios I wanted to share with you. And so if you have a Chinese ID, you can directly apply for a subscription account personal type. Then if you have a Chinese business license with that, you can apply for either subscription account, the one that can post on a daily basis, or you can apply for a service account. So with a Chinese business license, you can apply for both of them. It's up to you, depending on your needs. But if you have a foreign business license, you can apply for a service account only, means the one that can post 4 times per month. So you cannot be the one that is posting on a daily basis, right? So let's just to make this more clear, for the subscription account can be opened if you have a Chinese ID or if you have a Chinese company. For the service account, you can open if you have Chinese company or foreign company. So now I will put some notes, what you need to know about each type of the account. So this one, yes, so this one is often used to open an account under a Chinese friend ID. Yeah, this is something that happens quite a lot, especially when someone is just starting their adventure as an entrepreneur. They are not sure. Maybe opening a company seems not necessary at this point, or maybe you just want to try start blogging, different scenarios. But the long story short is that it's your Chinese friend is the owner of this account. So not only you are not the owner of the account, but also your friend is technically legally responsible for the content that you are posting on this account. So your friend is the admin of the account and they can add you as an operator. So then you can access the backend and you can start posting articles. And this kind of account is free to open. Then for the Chinese license, if you're opening with the Chinese business license, even if a foreigner is an owner, WeChat will always require a Chinese ID for the admin. So because it's a Chinese company, the requirement is the admin to be a local person with the Chinese ID. Our passport is not possible to use, even if we are the owners. So in this case, the verification process is 300 RMB for the domestic companies if we want to have a verified account on WeChat. So I think now when it gets interesting is for the foreign company. So for the foreign company, So WeChat, in this case, WeChat accept foreign passport for the admin. So there are some limitations compared to domestic accounts, but I would say it's the only scenario when a foreigner can open an account without any help from a local person. So this kind of account, they always must have a verification process, and it costs $99 per year. So it's not a big, huge difference compared to the Chinese one, but still a little bit more expensive. So it's really, yeah. So in this scenario, you can be as a foreigner with the passport. WeChat will accept a passport as a admin. So I will also share with you step by step. Okay, Ruth. Yeah, admin can be changed in the future. So this also mm, I will also have this in a moment. So yeah, and now another scenario, which I think is very interesting. It's quite, I would say, quite new. So it's the one, a service personal account. So it's very new. It was just introduced in November 2024. So it's quite interesting because in this scenario, you don't need any business license. So in this scenario, foreigners, actually, I will explain about this account more in detail in a second part of our meeting, but these accounts were, so before the service accounts were only available to companies. So actually, in this case, WeChat allowed Chinese individuals to also open service accounts because they wanted to boost e-commerce on the platform. But after I did quite a lot of testing with this kind of account, it seems that foreigners can open this kind of account. We cannot have it fully operational, but if you don't have a Chinese ID to provide in the case when you have a foreign company, and if you don't have a overseas company, if you have no paperwork, then it's, I would say, the only version when you can try open an official account. So I will explain it in a moment. So I think it's quite interesting. I haven't seen this being brought up by anyone so far. So I registered a few accounts using my different WeChat accounts and my husband one. So it works. It has some limitations, which I will explain in a moment. So if you have any questions about this part, let me know so we can clarify.
So this
What
personal account is just, what is the purpose of it if you can't do e-commerce or anything else like that?
Yes, so normally for this account for the Chinese person, because you can do e-commerce if you have a Chinese ID. So then you need to do the verification. But if you don't have a Chinese ID, you can still use this account as a foreigner to publish content and articles. And you can also add like link QR codes or mini programs to the articles. It just cannot be your own. So I will also explain uh, what will be the limitations for this kind of account. So I would say it's a last resort. If you don't have a foreign company, then it's like one of the only option when as a foreigner you can open an official account without any paperwork.
Good.
Yeah. And Vario, you're asking about the green card for a foreigner having a Chinese business license. So if the number will be accepted by the Tencent, uh, if the number will be accepted by Tencent, then you can try. But to be honest, I haven't heard much about this situation yet. And Sarah is asking about verification. So yeah, verification, yes, I will explain in a moment what are the differences for verification for domestic and foreign companies. So yeah, now choosing the right account. So for mainland entity, you can choose subscription or service, and you can register up to 2 accounts per license, but it will always ask you for your Chinese citizen to be an admin. And for the overseas company, you can only have a service account, and it's one account per license. And a foreigner can be an admin. So it's quite a solution when you cannot ask anyone. And if the company, so I will also mention about if this company needs to be yours or not. So I will explain that in a moment during the registration process. But you need to know that for overseas companies, they also have some limitation, like because it's an overseas company, so obviously Tencent and WeChat has a little bit less control over the content, so they are not allowing for stuff like comments under the articles or resharing of your articles by other account. So there are some limitations, but still accounts can publish normal articles normally, and have the communication. Just worth to know that some features will not be available. And also applying for other features like advertising or WeChat Pay will be more complicated. But if the company from overseas, like maybe for your client, Sarah, if they just want to publish content, do like communication without accepting direct payments or e-commerce, then it's very straightforward, I would say. So here I prepared a small chart based on the documents that you can refer to later. So yeah, if you have an overseas business license, you can go for you can only go for the global service account. If you have a Chinese business license, you can apply for either subscription or service account, but it will always ask you for a Chinese ID. And then if you don't have any paperwork, you can have this personal service account, but as a foreigner, it will be quite limited to posting articles. You can still have like a welcome message, menu, other functions. But if you want to do some sales or invite people to join your events and have a registration process, then you will need to do this by third-party providers, and you can embed the QR code or link within your articles. So it's how you can avoid this blocks. So for the registration process for the Chinese entity, so what you need to prepare, your Chinese business license, local phone number, company bank account, authorization documents, which are available to download during the process. And then also for the Chinese citizen ID and mobile phone for the admin role. So in this case, if you do the verification, there will be a fee of 300 RMB per year. So the way how it works for the Chinese company, this is the main page when all the registration for all types of accounts happens. So actually, big part of this platform are in English, so you can switch between Chinese and English. And you click register now, and you will choose a service account, for example, for a Chinese company. And then you need to put your email and the verification code from that email. So just make sure that you have always access to this email, that it doesn't belong to an employee who might leave the company, because most of the registration verification will happen through this email. So later on, you will log in using QR code, but make sure to have this initial email always available in the future, just in case if you forget the password or there's any other paperwork or issues. So then you choose the country, China mainland, and what happens, you can choose between 3 different type of accounts. So for the sake of the communication, because WeChat work, Ruth, you were asking, it's mainly used for internal communication within the companies, or when company employees communicate with the clients and business partners. So it also used in other scenarios. When, for example, it's a small side story. So, for example, luxury brands, they would also have their sales assistant, and they will want to have control over the contact list of their sales assistant. So in order to have this all communication centralized, they will use WeChat Work. So the their employees will use their WeChat work accounts to communicate with like VIP clients. So in case they leave the company, they will be they will not take all the information with them. Okay, and here we have an official account and service
Sorry, just
account. So
real
you,
quick. Sorry. So WeCom is like a business platform, like a company platform within your WeChat, right? So that
yes,
all of the
yes,
different employees can be talking to each other
yes.
and sharing information opposed to, okay. Thank you. That
Yes,
was really
so
helpful.
WeChat, yes, yes. So some companies are using this for internal communication. Some will also use this for communicating with the external clients. So it's especially because, yeah, in China, a lot of companies, including all my previous companies, we all using WeChat, right? So even when I was talking to some of our agency clients using my personal WeChat, right? We have this blurred blur between personal and professional, and we are using just one account. So WeCom was introduced also partly to avoid this problem that when employee is leaving, they basically take all their knowledge, network, database, communication with them, right? So if employees are using WeChat work, WeCom, then the company is kind of like, it's all like under the company umbrella, this communication. And then companies can actually, when employees are like adding some information about the clients, it can also help with like tracking orders. So actually WeCom can be more advanced in a way that if you have a programmer, developer on board, or there's some ready to use mini apps to plug in, you can do quite a lot of like customized tracking. Some companies even use this to process internal reimbursement. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah.
And then can one company have all of these things? Like, does that ever happen that you have like your official account that
Yes.
you're putting up
Yeah.
articles every day, and then your service account where people like apply or like set up appointments or pay for things, and then the WeCom to do more of the like business
Yes.
platform type
So
thing?
so one of the clients like this were actually a logistic company. So they used the service account to share information about their brand, about the corporate news activities, but they used this subscription account that can post on a daily basis to, for example, share information about some delays in the logistics, yeah, or maybe some, because it was a company that was mainly processing like sea freight, I would say. So they were like updating information about ports and what's going on. So some of the brands have both, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Think through it carefully when you set it up, though. I found WeCom to be a little bit confusing and integrating with my WeChat also. We did
Yes.
we did integrate
Mm-hmm.
it so that when messages come into our WeCom company site, they also go to WeChat so that I can
Mm,
see them
yeah.
immediately. But it's a little bit not so user-friendly as WeChat, so you need to set it up carefully.
Yes, so I've seen a lot of companies trying to onboard their employees to WeChat work, but actually it was not so convenient. So, but I know a lot of big corporation, they require that. And also we've had a few months ago a project with the overseas company that they really wanted their employees, it was a financial company, so they really wanted their employees to stop using personal WeChats because they also, their compliance global team, they wanted all the information to be recorded and tracked. So yeah, but I agree, like it's still not so I think very big corporations, they implement that, but normally it's not so convenient, I would say, since we all got so used to WeChat. Yeah. Yeah, so I will just wanted to share like last case of using WeCom. So for example, if you go to stores like Sephora, there will be like sales assistant ladies, and they will offer you to scan their QR code. They will help you to set up membership program. They will also add you. So for them, I believe that company can see, oh, this a sales assistant, she onboarded today 10 people to our membership program. So we have more people into our contact pool. And then I also get the messages from this lady to my personal WeChat, like, oh, we have this promotion in our Sephora in Shanghai, the one that I was making my initial shopping. So they're also using this like for this communication. So I would say for small and medium brands, maybe it's not so necessary, but it's good to know what is possible and how to recognize that someone is using WeChat Work, because there will be like a small icon next to their name. So yeah, so if you have a Chinese company, you can choose for the daily communication between the subscription and service. So you can see the broadcast once per day. For the other one, you have 4 per month. And then WeChat Pay for official subscription account, not supported, or API. It just API is like this small additional programs that you can link to your WeChat backend. So when you do that with the Chinese company, with the Chinese company, you can choose one of the entity type. So WeChat give this this definition. So I think most of the cases it will be a company type, enterprise. So what happened next when you click, when you choose the entity, let's say enterprise, what you will have will be, you will need to upload your business type, business name, business license number, and right away WeChat will ask you for the account admin information. So here already you need to put ID card. It doesn't accept passport. So as I mentioned, in this case, either trusted local friend, an employee, or so this is something that I don't want to recommend, but just wanted to make you aware that there are this kind of services. So there is a website called Fiverr, which is like for a freelancer global platform. And I also saw their services from Chinese people who can help you be their own admin. So as I said, it's not something that I really recommend, but if you have your Chinese business license and you really set on using this as your for your registration for WeChat, this is one of the ways. But technically, you still are owner. Your company is the owner of the account, but it might be quite difficult to remove an admin like this if they are like not reachable, or if I think many things can go wrong. So it's just something that I wanted to share with you, that there are this kind of services available on the market, but yeah, be careful with that. So double think. But yeah, for the account, if you're doing with the Chinese company, always ID card number for the Chinese admin. And then WeChat will give you an option to provide some additional information like website or any other supportive material. So you don't need to fill in. It can help with the faster registration, but usually there will be some feedback from the platform to fill in. So this is for the Chinese company. And now moving to the overseas company, something that is very interesting. So the initial setup also happened with the same platform, but the path is a little bit different. So also the documents that you will need to upload are a little bit different, and the verification is a little bit longer. So it's a little bit more complicated. But if you don't have a Chinese company, or if you cannot provide a Chinese ID and you have a foreign company, it's one of the interesting ways that you can leverage. So in this case, you also go to the same page. And if you choose a country, you can, so here in this case, I chose Poland. I'm from Poland, so I was doing this for the Polish entity. But there are, I would say, any country. So actually, countries, it's a little bit confusing. Initially, I couldn't find my country I wanted to choose, because countries are not always in alphabetical order. So if you cannot find your country where it should be, just spend a little bit more time scrolling, because maybe they put this with the letter that this in its Chinese name. But there are like countries like Ethiopia and other countries, so I'm quite sure your country will be also there. Just spend some time. It was a little bit confusing initially. So then if you choose a country that is not China mainland, yeah, WeChat will only now give you one option. So it will be service account. So this service account is a little bit different than the domestic one, but still you can post 4 times per month. Messages, articles will be displayed on the main feed. And here it says that there are no WeChat Pay and no other additional integrations. Actually, for WeChat Pay, you can apply, but you need to do it separately. So the process is a little bit more difficult, which I will also mention in a moment, what will be something that you must know before choosing this kind of account. But when we look at the registration process, it will be quite similar, but not everything. So first, yeah, you need to put your business name, your company number. So in here, when you go to this stage, and I will also add the links in the appendix of this presentation, what kind of documents WeChat will recognize as business license, how to identify your business number on the paperwork from your country. And here is something that we are looking for. So the account admin information. So here we can even put overseas phone number. Yes, so not Chinese number. And as long as we receive an SMS verification, and admin ID finally can be a passport, right? So this is something, or even driving license. So first time we can put our own, as a foreigner, we can put our own identification. So that will be for the first stages of the registration process for overseas company. Then WeChat will ask us to choose a name. So actually, in this case, WeChat will ask us to confirm the name once more later on in a later stage. But it's good to know what your name will be more or less, because some of the wording are not allowed to use, like, for example, wording like related to country like China, or the keywords like WeChat, or if you want to call yourself a school, academy, you cannot unless you have all the paperwork that prove you're actually like educational institution. So there will be another stage for the account name, especially if you have a trademark later on, but this is the stage for the registration. So let's say this is registration. Technically, this account is registered, but verification is obligatory for global accounts. So now, Sarah, you were asking what is verification, and now we will have this part about verification. So what is verification, when it's obligatory, what are the advantages, different processes, and details of the mandatory verification for overseas company. So let me just check if there's any questions. Okay, so we can move forward. So for the verification, so these are for Chinese companies. So these are two service accounts, Chinese ones. One is my previous company, one is a company from Beijing. So you can see the difference is that my previous company, KRDS, so we had a verified account. So you can see the small blue symbol next to our company name on the main page, and the company name. And then also when we click on the details, we can see that this is verified account, and this one is not, right? There is no company name. There is company name in the when we click more details, but it's not on the main page, and there is no this little symbol on how to actually, that it's actually verified account. So first of all, the verification, it kind of give us this, especially to local customers, that it's a legit business, took an additional step to be verified, right? But also for the accounts, it means that, for example, for subscription or service accounts, it can also unlock certain functions. Like, for example, service account can only apply for WeChat Pay function if they have verification. Also for coupons or customer service in the backend, and some other tools for additional programming development in the backend. So for domestic accounts, this verification is not necessary. As you can see, some accounts, they don't do it, but they can still post, right? So it's, if you want some additional features, then it will be recommended to do this verification, and it also make account look more professional in the eyes of potential customers and partners. So the verification for Chinese companies, there are 3 ways to do that. And I also, if you are working with the Chinese assistant, or if you have a Chinese business license and you're opening this with and you need a Chinese person with a Chinese ID, then maybe this person will also like help you do the verification, right? So one way is legal representative ID, but it didn't work for me before as a foreign legal representative. There are also third-party verification services, but I would say for normally the most convenient one for a Chinese verification for Chinese companies will be a small bank transfer. So you will get a message from Tencent how much, like for example, you need to pay 25 mao to this account, and after they get this small fee, they will return it, but it's just to prove that you're the account owner of the company. So this is for the Chinese company. And because today, I think most of us here are looking forward to the foreign process or for the individual. So I also have the step-by-step verification for Chinese companies in the appendix of this presentation. And today I wanted to focus more on this verification for global companies. So as I mentioned, it's obligatory for overseas accounts. And I will also share with you the materials required for this verification in the email together with the recording. So I did this verification a few months ago. So usually there will be some back and forth. So, and I will explain in a moment what happens step by step, what kind of documents do you need. But here what I wanted to mention to you, that if you open this account using a foreign business license, so just off the record, you don't need to be the owner of this account. So this can be an account, a company that, for example, is belong to someone of your family members. It's just if this company can make this information available to you to register your company, it's just for the registration WeChat purpose. So even if you have a company in China, I would say you can still run all of the operations, like bill your customers, issue FAPIO with your Chinese company, no problem. It's like a separate thing. But if you want to register a WeChat official account, you can still use an overseas company. It really depends like how complicated is your situation, if you really don't have a Chinese ID or any other paperwork, right? So this is kind of like a creative way to avoid this kind of issues. But if, for example, like in your case, Sarah, you have a foreign clients, they want to do this from A to Z using their foreign business license. So they already did the registration, which I showed a moment ago. So then with your email, you can access the backend of their WeChat. So what you need to do is do the WeChat verification, and this is the page to start the verification. So it's under settings and development, WeChat verification. You need to click enable, and this is where you start the process of verification. And on the right, there is a list of the official third-party audit companies that will most likely reach out to you with the follow-up to do the verification. So later on, you can also go back to this page and check the status of your verification process. So first step, we will need to agree to the terms of the verification. Then we need to enter the information again of our overseas company. So again, full name, company registration number, registered address, upload business license, and other supporting documents. But most of the time, just business license will be enough. And if it's in any other language than English, it needs to be translated into English for the verification part. As a next step, there will be verification person info. So actually here WeChat also highlights that this ID information is only for this verification process and that you will be able to change the admin later. So actually at that point, even though if sometimes they call it admin, we will appoint the admin once the verification is over, and then we can change the admin later on. So here again, we can put overseas phone number as long as we can get SMS. And even though they are asking for the landline phone and mobile phone, most of the communication, I would say 100% in my case, was done through email. So email will be, I mean, still put this information, but don't worry too much if they will calling you. Usually what happens, what from our experience was email communication. And here, yeah, we can choose the contact ID type, and yeah, if passport works. So this is where you do the verification using your passport. And here you will need upload some documents signed by the company. So it's gonna be application letter and letter of authorization for operation. So basically that you authorize this person to do the verification process. And also this contact person mobile phone statement. So for example, in my case, screenshot of my bank statement was enough. So it doesn't need to be like with the company. Of course, the more stamps, the better for Tencent when we do any verification. So you can just put a stamp as well. So I would say in this case, it was not so troublesome. And here are the examples of the paperwork that you need to submit. So basically you fill in your overseas company name, you fill your account final name. So this is the place, the documents when you really set on your account name, because this is the final confirmation. And also there are some requirements from the audit agency when they told me that signatures need to be made with each stroke, letter must be clearly identified. When I put the year 2020, when I put just 24, they told me no, must be 2024. So all of this like small stuff, just make sure you fill in it very clearly. So then you will avoid this back and forth. So for example, in this case, the owner of the company I was applying was my sister, right? But I was the person in charge, and she didn't need to do because I was the authorized person to do the verification. She didn't need to be in touch with Tencent. It was only me, and since I had the access to the email, I could also do the communication on their side. And then, yeah, you need to upload your contact person ID. So in this case, they say front and back, but this can be front page and last page of your passport or your local ID card from your country. So with these steps, only for the documents that I'm mentioning on the previous slide, there was some back and forth from the company, from the audit agency, but unless these changes, I would say like this small changes, it was quite smooth. So then again, this is your final name in here, and it cannot be changed later on. If you want to change your name of your account, you will need to do another verification process, which will be $99 again. And if you have a trademark, you can also upload the documents to WeChat, to Tencent to review. And last but not least, you also need to do the payment. So it's $99. You can pay either by WeChat Pay or a bank card, because funny enough, WeChat will not accept WeChat Pay from a foreign ID. So even in this case, you need to pay, you can switch to bank card, overseas bank card, yes, to do this $99. And here, the verification process, it's quite probable that the audit agencies will have some will have a lot of questions or will have some follow-up documents. So they will usually reply to you back and forth. And even if they require some resubmission, it doesn't mean that you need to pay this $99 again. It's still under this one verification process. So once you fill in all of this information, you will most likely receive information from email from one of these companies. So in my case, and some of the people I know were applying recently, it was Credit Eyes. So just to give you some example of this emails, they will just let you know that they are the audit agency, and they will send a message to the email that I provided if Miriam Dabrova was actually authorized for the application. So yes, you need to confirm to these emails. Then they will also have some other requirements to do the additional verification. So they ask to choose one of these two methods. So one of them is that the director of the company, of the foreign company, take a photo with their ID card, passport, and all the application letters that I was showing you before. Or you just send to them a link to the website where there is a official email. So they will use that email to send a message and ask, is this person qualified to do the verification? So I chose the option 2, and they send an email, the final email to the company representative to ask all of this information just to confirm if this is the contact person, if this is what's the name of the company, what's the contact person for this account, where is the address, who's the legal representative, and if it's the correct name. So once you get that email, it means it's almost finalized. So you just need to confirm all of this information, say if you need an invoice or not. So basically confirm, check this email carefully and confirm. And then, so actually they will not send you an email back that it's all approved. So actually I had to check the backend of my account, and after 1, 2, 3 days, it was approved. So I had to check by myself. I was not notified by Tencent or this third-party agency. So this is the part for the verification for the global company. So if you have any questions about this part, we can take a small break to clarify. Okay, so then we will move to another one, which is the service account for individuals. So the one I was mentioning before, that it's fairly new. So before, this kind of service accounts were only available to companies, right? So now WeChat wants to boost e-commerce, but mainly e-commerce for Chinese locals. So how does it apply to foreigners? How does it work? So actually what happens here is that WeChat wanted to allow creators and entrepreneurs to use functions like WeChat Store, selling through live streaming, and other functions, because now with TikTok, Douyin, and other platforms that allow for more and more direct selling, they also wanted to replicate this solution on WeChat. But because subscription account doesn't allow for this more advanced options, now they open this service accounts, which can establish e-commerce also to individuals, so people without companies. So I would say this solution was created for local Chinese people, but it seems that the system also allows foreign accounts to open account. So so we can still open account like this. So I created 2 test accounts like that. So you can see it's a service account. I can post articles. So the disadvantage is that technically these accounts require real name verification if we want to enable e-commerce, like the built-in e-commerce, like a WeChat shop function. So like I mentioned, we can still redirect to third-party providers like UPay for events or any others, like embed WeChat mini program links, but cannot use the same functions are Chinese nationals. And WeChat will also require this real name verification, which only accept Chinese ID if our account reached 10,000 followers. So honestly, 10,000 followers, it's quite a lot. I really wish we can all reach 10,000 followers, but I would say it gives us a safe bandwidth, this 10,000 followers. It's quite a lot. So if we use this account, if we don't have overseas company, or if we don't have someone with Chinese ID and we have a Chinese company, this is like one of the options which allows us to try posting with like explore how it looks like. And basically the only way for foreigners without foreign company, or with a Chinese company but without Chinese ID, to utilize accounts, official accounts on WeChat. So how to register account like this if you want to try and if you want to grow this kind of account. So it's same website, the same platform. We just choose service account, and then we go for this QR code. So we scan this QR code, and it's a mini program. It will open a mini program on our phone. Here with first page, we need to agree to some conditions. Then we put our phone number. So it's one phone number per account. And then we will choose our profile picture and our profile name. So this can be actually changed later. There is some limits how often you can change, but it's changeable. So in this case, for this test account is my cat's photo. So once you put the profile picture and the name, once you get this notification on the right, it means you're good to go. So you go back to the main account, to the platform, and you scan with your QR code. You scan the QR code with your phone and you click on the account that you want to log in. So in my case, there are some additional test accounts, but I choose the account with Amadeus, my cat, and I can access the backend. So basically, this account is kind of like an app and ready to publish. It's also free. As a foreigner, you cannot do the verification. For the Chinese people, they can do. So you will get this. So for the function that are available, you can do like normal welcome message. You can post articles. You can have menu tabs as well. So later on, I can share this. I can create a small group for us and share these accounts with you so you can check. And also, just in case, you can open this kind of account with your mobile phone, local mobile phone. But if you change your mind, or if something is, if you don't, you can delete this account. So once you delete this account, you have 7 days until the decision is final. But I think it's a really great alternative for people who don't have any foreign paperwork documents to apply for a foreign account, or if they cannot provide Chinese ID and don't want to risk with some random people to be their admins, right? So in this case, you will get a notification from Tencent that if you want to enable some ad options or paid features, or if you want to enable e-commerce, or if you reach 10,000 followers, that you need to do the real name verification, which, as I mentioned, we cannot really do as foreigners. But as long as we don't use this e-commerce function and don't reach 10,000 followers, this account functions normally so far. So as I mentioned, it's not ideal solution, but it's the only one if you cannot provide the other options for service accounts or Chinese accounts. So this is a quite straightforward procedure. You just scan the QR code, update name, profile picture, and then you go into the backend and you can change the name, or you can change your WeChat ID and description. So I will have a slide about how often and what you can change. So do you have, guys, any questions about this new feature?
I have a quick one. So if we needed to verify later, we have this personal account, can we then use an employee's ID, or can we not, because it then wouldn't match our name?
From what I saw in the backend, it will not match. Yes, it
Okay, so
must
then
be
that
the
wouldn't
same.
work.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Yeah.
final decision. Okay.
Yes. So as I said, it's like a last resort when you
Mhm.
really don't have any other options, because there is this limitation of 10,000 followers and the e-commerce thing. Yeah. But I will double check. But from what I remember, there was this that it should match. So I don't think that admin is transferable if you're already admin of your own. I will double check this scenario. I think they didn't think about this. I mean, Tencent, WeChat, but I will double check. But I think from what I saw, must match. But I will check if we can change the admin. But I think it's quite, it's quite, yeah, might be quite curious case, I would say. Yeah. So then actually, because we are talking about being like admin, who's the admin of what and how. So when you have WeChat channels, right, we also want to have this nice little thing when there are two accounts, our official account and channels are interconnected, right? Because channels, the nice thing about channels is that you don't need to follow on a channel account to be served content like a video. So actually, even for my account, I can see because also the follower base is separate for two of them. So sometimes I see people who discovered my account thanks to WeChat channels. They click on this small icon and they can switch between the article account, I would say the official one, and between the channel account. So you can, of course, embed articles, videos within your articles, but you can also drive the traffic between these two. So, of course, WeChat made it a little bit complicated. And in order to connect these two under one, like to have this interconnection here, the admin must be the same for both. So this is a little bit, can be a little bit annoying because I know some people who already have started their WeChat channels. It grow quite big. It's quite successful. And let's say they also have their official account. And the admin is their like Chinese assistant, right? Because they were using like their Woofy registration to do the account. And of course, the admin must have been Chinese, but they also started to grow their own channels in the meantime. So if the channels are under your personal account and there is a Chinese assistant who is the admin of your official account, then cannot connect, right? Also, if your Chinese assistant, let's say she or he, they already have their own WeChat channels under the same account and they don't want to, because when you create the company channel, it kind of like a wipe your previous one. So they don't want to give up their channels, which is understandable. Also cannot link to this connection, right? So my recommendation in this case, if here we are all kind of like before we even register the account and we want to have the Chinese business license and the Chinese person to have to be an admin. In this case, I would recommend maybe this person, your employee, your assistant, create a brand new personal WeChat account, which is linked to the bank card because this is required to be an admin for the WeChat account. And perhaps you can have like a spare phone when this account is logged in, so you can always scan the QR code to the WeChat channel. So basically remember that when you need to connect official account with channels to bind them together, the admin must be the same. So this is something that I know some of the brands are struggling with. I had a colleague, a customer who came to me and asked that I have this Chinese account, but I also have WeChat channels on my personal phone, my personal account, and cannot combine, cannot connect. So technically, there's another solution. Maybe you can transfer the admin of your WeChat channels, because now this is doable. But I would say it's quite complicated. So if you already know what setup you're going for, you can think in advance how to make sure that this will work together. But with channels, yeah, it's like this. So it's a little bit annoying. But then if a foreigner is an admin for the account, and the channels are under your personal account, like in my case, it's okay to, because I was admin for the Digital Hotpot official account and admin for the Digital Hotpot channels. So I could just connect them together and have this interconnection between each other. So this is something good to know because channels are growing they're very important part of the ecosystem, and Tencent, WeChat is investing more and more. So it's really good to have them connected. And also then if you have official account, the one where you're posting your articles, in the backend you will see also how many followers actually discovered your account thanks to channels. So it's also quite helpful to have this interconnection. So that's about channels. So basically, if you've done all the registration and verification, means you should be good with your official account. No matter if it's subscription, service, or personal, more or less after this, you're ready to post. So when you want to log in into your account, you will use this mp.weixianqq.com on the browser, because mobile publishing, there is some app, but it's not very good. You cannot do very advanced articles with app. So normally all the operation for the articles happen through the browser. So you just scan the QR code with your phone, and you can access your backend. So normally, remember that the sessions usually last 2 or 3 days, and then WeChat will ask you to log in again for security reasons. So when you have your account, it's registered, it's ready. So just wanted to highlight to you that your profile image, you can only change 5 times per month, but usually I don't think you will need to change it more often. But for the name you can only change during your annual verification. So in this case, KRDS was the name, and WeChat ID, which is like something that WeChat users can only also find you thanks to the ID, only once per calendar year. So be very mindful about your name and WeChat ID. Other things like introduction, profile picture, you can change from time to time, 5 times per year. So it's fine, right? So then once you have your accounts, this is something that we will not explore today, but basically as next step will be to come up with your welcome message, something that users will get as a very first message from your account. Menu, so this can be seen as an equivalent of a menu on your website. And auto replies, so some common keywords when user can click your brand help or FAQ. So this is something that I will explore in our next webinars, but also in the ebook that I know some of you already got. So more about the ebook in a moment. And last but not least, the account roles and management. So yeah, administrator is the most important person, can manage the key high-risk operations. And then if you have, you can add operators to your account. So these are people who can scan the QR code and will basically have access to publish articles and to some operations, but not like the high-risk one, like adding some very important functions or like deleting the account. This cannot be done. And also you can add short-term operators, so people who will just have 1 month access. So maybe if you work with some content contributors or agencies or developer to add some stuff to your account, this is something to be that you can add, right? So these are the roles in management. So for now, if you have like a foreign account, you can add other operators. It doesn't matter if they are like foreigners or not. So it's quite open. So I know some of you got the ebook. So I really thank you for your trust. So for the ebook, it will be delivered to you by the end of next week. It's still in the final review. So for those of you who haven't seen, there is an ebook about WeChat from registration. So this information that we're discussing today and a little bit more, but also about how to get all of this information like menu, welcome message, how to grow your audience, and how to read your WeChat backend, and also case studies from 8 different industries. So this, when I launched this ebook to general public, I think by the end of March, in the pre-sale, it will be 228, and later on regular price will be 288. So for the webinar members, it's 200 until the pre-sale starts, which will be end of March. So that's about the ebook. And now I think now we can move to Q&A. Before that, I will just quickly show you the appendix where we have the account setup checklist. I will also share with you all the other documents required for Chinese companies verification and the step-by-step verification for Chinese companies. So now I think most of you already are following the account and channels. If you're not in the group, feel free to scan and join. And yeah, let me see some of the questions. Okay. Oh yeah, Poi, I don't know if I pronounce your name right. If our phone number is already linked to our personal WeChat account, we can still use it to open the personal service account. Yes, can do, yes. Can you share that website again, please? You mean the registration platform, right?
I think so. It was like mp.weishin, like
Yes,
for
yes.
accessing the back end.
Yes, so I will share all of that, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
I have several questions whenever it's appropriate to ask.
Sure, go on. We have time.
Okay, so if you were to open a service account with your company license, your Chinese Woofy or whatever, you have to use an employee or friend's ID, right?
Yes.
To open it. But your company still owns the account. So if that employee, say, left and you hired a new employee, can you transfer that ID?
Yes.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I
you
had
can
heard like
transfer,
you had to
yeah.
choose one and it was like forever, and that stresses me
No,
out
no.
because you just never know the future. But
No,
the
you
company
can,
still owns it.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, your
that's a
company
huge
still
relief.
owns it. Yes, so
Okay.
you can change the admin. Just make sure you do the handover process before this
Before they leave.
person left.
Yeah.
Because what happens, what we've saw for some of the clients, sometimes employee leaves on the bad terms, right? So there was an admin, and in order to do it smoothly, you need the previous admin to scan the QR code and like do this. But if you don't have, is for some reasons this employee is not reachable, there is a process to do it as well. But then it's a little bit more, troublesome. You need to get in touch with customer service, upload this and that, prove that you're the owners. So if it's done,
even if you had some crazy case where you just had some terrible employee that went crazy, there's still possibility. It takes a lot more work because you have to prove.
Yes, yes, right? I saw it taking, we even did it for overseas companies. This retrieving the account, it's a little bit, troublesome, but it's possible because you're still the owner, your company. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think my other main question was, do you have suggestions for like when your company name like includes China? Do you just use an acronym, or I mean, like our company name's been set since 2009, right? So like, just use an acronym.
It's a good question. Maybe you can try like CN. You can try fill in and you will see if WeChat will still block it. If it pass, if it's absolutely no, they will like kill it on the spot, right? They will say no, you cannot use that, like, because first initially my idea was like WeChat Academy. So first of all, I couldn't use WeChat, and then I couldn't use Academy. So I was like, okay. So I was stuck so this is how I came up, Tom, with the new name. So I was like, okay. But yeah.
Okay.
So you can try see.
Yes, I did have one more question.
Yes, go on.
Sorry. What does an advertising account mean? You said the verification allows you to apply for an advertising account. What does that mean?
It means you can do paid ads on WeChat.
Okay. So somebody
like banner
would pay
ads
you
or
to do
follower
that.
ads.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay,
like
great.
a Facebook or Google banner ads. But it also depends on the industry, because some industries have some limitations. So I'm not sure like if on your business license, if it's related to like healthcare or anything like that, it can be yes, like some industries are restricted or blocked from doing media buy on WeChat.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Two things to follow on to Ruth. First, thanks for the great presentation. You really
Thank you,
went step
sir.
by step, so thank you. Two things to follow on with Ruth. Ruth's question about the admin. Let's say the admin leaves under, not happy circumstances. They can still
Yeah.
post into that account. You have to be, how can you close them out so that they couldn't do anything
Yeah.
crazy on the account? That's something
Yeah,
else.
that's true. Yes. So, luckily in our case, it didn't happen. It was just this person was not reachable. Yeah, but it can like basically they have a lot of power, right? So,
Yeah,
but for the company accounts, if you want to delete an account, for example, let's say this person go really full crazy, right? They want to delete your account. They
yeah,
will still need some paperwork for Tencent to confirm that this company account will be closed. So this is for company accounts. It's not
right.
just one
They can't,
step.
right. So they can't delete you, but they could post crazy stuff.
Yes, they can. Yes.
Right. Okay. Second, the advertising, the ability
Mm-hmm.
to advertise if you're a consultancy.
Yeah, it really depends, especially because Sarah, you were mentioning that possibly your clients are foreign companies, right? So WeChat will
Yes.
be much more strict with allowing them to promote. So some of the limitation I saw in the past was, for example, the account must be like, because usually it's also done with Tencent ad team, or they also outsource to other like third-party companies, but authorized by Tencent to do this. So, for example, they can have their own requirements. Like, for example, the account must publish in Chinese, or the account must be 2 or 3 months old, publishing for 2 3 months, so we can see like what is kind of content. And then
Got
it
it.
also depends what is on their business license. And if the content is aligned with what with what they're posting, with the industry mentioned on their business
License.
license, yes. And
Right.
some of
Okay.
the foreign industries like finance, real estate, primary, secondary education are completely banned from doing ads on WeChat.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's really a little bit strict, but we had some clients doing media buy. It's just more case by case, and
Right.
Tencent, WeChat
Okay.
can be, yeah.
Okay. What's the big difference between the WeChat account and the channel? I don't understand. What is a WeChat
Mhm.
channel versus a WeChat account?
So WeChat account, you're posting articles. It's kind
Yes.
of like your, let's say, mini website in China in a
Yeah.
way compared. And WeChat channels are just for the short videos. So
Oh, okay.
that's yes. So
Okay.
actually, I would say the follower base you're growing, it's not connected. It's quite weird, but it's different set of followers you're growing
Complementary.
at. Yes, yes. So they are not together, but of course, one person can follow you here and there, but it's not the same group. Yeah. Actually, for
Okay.
WeChat channels, there are a whole another platform to operate. It's not under the mp.weixin, blah, blah.
Right. Now, somebody
So,
like
sorry, I
me.
just want to say, Sarah, the WeChat channels is like Instagram.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit of a mix,
I mean,
like
it's different, of
YouTube.
course, but
Yeah,
yeah.
like it's short videos. I would say it's comparable to Instagram, TikTok, but still, it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a lot to talk
Okay.
about, but yeah.
There's limitations on the numbers of accounts you can have. So
Mm-hmm.
under the woofy, you can only have 2 accounts. Is that right?
Yeah, it's for the Chinese companies. Before, I think it was 5, but then limited to 2 a few years ago.
Yeah. So if you're somebody like me that's an agency, I really have to go the route of the client with the foreign business license.
Yeah, and actually, Sarah, I think it's first of all, it's also better for them because they are the legal owners and it's possible for them to be the legal owners. Second of all, as you mentioned, if you use your own business license to register for them, you're taking away one slot for yourself. And then if they want to do any media buy and the business license and the account topic is different, they will not let it go, Tencent. Yeah. So it actually happened a few years ago, we were working with one MBA school in Shanghai, and they were actually they were having their own business license, but they were not registered as a university, higher education. They were registered as consulting, which was quite strange, but that was how it is. And
Yeah.
WeChat didn't allow them to do any media buy because this
Right. It didn't
discrepancy.
align with
Yeah.
their business license.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
Now,
I
what
would
about,
say, yeah, I would, it's if the paperwork from the client side is all in order and they are like responsive to provide you with like a new stamp or new signature because someone didn't sign very readable. So I think it's better for both you and them to use their own.
license, right?
Yes.
Now, it's hard to say when you get into NGO land, okay?
Mhm.
Nonprofit land.
Yeah.
So the content is to advance some social initiative or some social benefit. I guess it will have to depend on what their business license looks like, because
I'm not sure if this will answer your question. I think we were working with Eden Prize Foundation, which was also related to NGOs and awards in like social and educational. I'm just not sure if it was a foreign account or local Chinese one. I can double check for you, but
okay,
yeah,
thanks. Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
Because I know they were based in Hong Kong, so Hong Kong business license is already overseas business license. So if you
right,
have a company registered in Hong Kong, it's a foreign company for Tencent.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's me up to date so far. Thank you.
Yeah. And I can see, Vero, you have a question. Service account, personal, no paperwork can be connected with my WeChat channels. Yeah, should be possible to connect because you're admin for both. And then for the official account registration, if my admin is Chinese, her name must match with the ID card, but for the phone number, yeah, you can use yours. Yes, this is not, they don't see this from their side. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, like even if we don't, there are different ways, right? Maybe they are not ideal because ideally would be to use Chinese business license and have a Chinese assistant, the Chinese ID. This is the best option. But if we
Yeah.
have a company, then like I'm talking about like small entrepreneurs, small companies, then there is another way. For Sarah, for your client, if they have everything, I would still insist of using their own. And also this way you're also on the safe side because you know you're not responsible legally for the content they're publishing just in case. So you
Right.
have like clean hands as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm the legal admin for it, or my assistant is the legal admin for it.
Yes.
Or wait a minute.
You
If I want to be the person doing the admin,
Mhm. You can be an admin for this client account. It's fine. Yeah. Is this your question? If you can be the admin?
yes, I know I can be the admin, but I want my
Mhm.
employee to be the admin.
Yeah, a Chinese person can still be an admin for the foreign company.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of admin stuff, like it's
Yeah.
quite complicated. So that's why I put so many slides with step by step and some documents in advance, what you need to be aware, what might be happening, what can a lady from the audit agency can ask, because this is something that, yeah, I went through in the different scenarios.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think I will create an additional group just for this webinar where I will follow up with the recording, the presentations, and you can ask your questions later on. So Rolf, you can add Tom later on because I don't think I have his contact. So yeah. So if you have any questions later on, and yeah, I think before I was really stressed about filling in all of these informations. But now I've done it so many times, it doesn't feel so stressful. at all. So yeah,
Okay.
I even created an account for my cat. So I mean, I will not post anything, but just as a test, it was fun. Yeah.
But
So yeah,
but the
good.
cat has the cat has the same telephone number as you, right?
So actually, I have 3 SIM cards here with me, so I can switch a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, so actually for the personal individual service account, you can also use overseas phone number. So not only Chinese, so I used a Polish number, Thai number. So yeah, I did run quite a lot
Oh,
of
okay.
tests before this webinar.
Okay.
So, and also guys, I don't know if you know, you can also have 2 WeChat accounts under your one WeChat on your phone. You can switch accounts
Oh.
between these 2. So that's how I also tested some other options. So this gives you a little
Wow.
bit more flexibility. Yeah. Just if you want to be an admin with the other account, it needs to be linked to bank card, because for WeChat, it's important that you're a verified user. Yeah.
Who
Right.
gets more
Okay.
followers, you or your cat?
So my cat is just a test account. He has like maybe 4 followers. It's not active yet, but I will now consider. Maybe he will, yeah.
It's
Maybe
gonna
I
be
can
some competition.
monetize.
Competition.
Yes. Yeah. But, you know, I will do the double work for me and the cat. Yeah. Okay. So guys, I will think maybe later. I think it's already quite late. So I will share with you the stuff tomorrow morning. And
Okay.
but I can maybe create the group tonight already if you're not too
Okay.
tired with all of this. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so
for
much.
presentation. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you. Hope
Mhm.
you can get your accounts up and running very soon. Yeah.
Great.
And we'll be
Thank
doing
you
it.
guys.
Thank you.
Good
Now.
night.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah. See you. Thank
See
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.